Hello, this is AstrologerCoach Sonja Francis, and today we're going to be talking about the upcoming full moon in 14 degrees of Cancer, which will be exact on January 4th at 11:53 p.m. East Coast time in the US and at 8:53 p.m. West Coast time in the US. So the full moon is always an extroverted time, it's an emotional time. It's where we deal with other people, or we're working through something in our relationships, or internally there needs to be a balance that needs to be created between two extreme polarities. And in this case, we're talking about the Capricorn Cancer polarity. So 2 weeks ago, I talked a little bit about the Capricorn energy in the new moon video. And Capricorn is all about, building something in the outside world that's of value, self-mastery, and being able to really honor all aspects of the physical world and what we're manifesting in the physical world. Cancer, on the other hand, has to do a lot with the formation of our emotional body and really understanding our feelings, really being able to navigate through life by building an awareness of what's healthy and what's harmful in our lives. So really that feelings are really informing us about our choices, what it is that we need, what it is that feels good or doesn't feel good. So if we want to emerge as healthy beings, we need to be able to nurture ourselves and others. We need to be able to take care of our feelings and our inner baby. It's what I call the moon or the Cancer energy. I feel very much is connected to our inner baby because it's all the pre-verbal stuff, everything that's connected to what we need before we were able to talk, having affection, having food, having an emotional connection with somebody, being able to really feel comforted and good in the world, feel safe, right? These are all things that we need as babies. And these are the things that we really need to be able to get connected to in our lives as adults as well. And if we're able to really do that, then we can emerge as responsible adults in the outside world, and we're able to provide for ourselves and others. And that would be the Capricorn energy. That's the other polar opposites to Cancer, right? So we need to develop both sides of the coin. So Capricorn asks us to step into our power and be mature and to point to a point where we no longer need to find approval with other people, or where we need to be validated by other people, which is something that we need when we're younger, when we're children, or when we're babies, right? We need the approval of our parents. But once we're able to have that foundation, then we can step out in the world and really master our lives without needing that approval, because we have found that foundation within ourselves, right? So Cancer is really about having healthy roots. And Capricorn is about sharing the fruits of our labor, everything that we've worked towards, to really share that with the world, right? So in order to develop a healthy inner Capricorn energy, we really have to learn to listen to our feelings and to honor our needs and not disregard what we're feeling or what we're needing, because otherwise we're really not able to have that healthy foundation that we need to be able to go to that outer place in the world, right? To manifest the things that we want to manifest. So it's really about mastery and creating something of value in the end, right? Through the Cancer energy and through connecting to that Cancer energy. Now, this particular full moon really shows us how to use our power, because the sun in Capricorn aligns with Pluto and opposes the moon in Cancer. So this gives us an opportunity to really align ourselves with our destiny in a very authentic way, and to really expose anything that stands in our way, to really go deeper into the things that we need to build and that we need to do in the outside world. So we're really needing to purge ourselves on an emotional level. We need to purge all the things that are no longer serving us. And so the focus here is really on dedication, which has to do with the Capricorn energy. It's on wholeness, which is connected to Pluto. It's all about embracing all that we are. And it's about the truth, because Capricorn, just as much as Pluto, wants the truth. And so we really do ourselves a favor if we are devoting ourselves or connecting ourselves to our true passions, and to really look to see how can we bring love and light to the world. And the more we can do that, that will be in direct proportion to how much success we have in the world, or the rewards that we can reap. Because Pluto in Capricorn wants us to be authentic, and if we're not authentic, we're not going to be able to be successful. We're not going to be able to have those rewards. So we must pay attention to being open and bringing love and passion into the world, right? And our light. And our consciousness, with Pluto, it's very much also about shining consciousness and shining light. Now, another aspect of this full moon is the ongoing Uranus-Pluto square that we've been talking about several times already in previous videos. And this highlights that this full moon as well is once again underlining the importance of stepping up in our lives and bringing our individual light to the world, and making sure that we're taking a look at our shadow behaviors and habits in the world, and on both an individual level and also on a collective level, right? Because shadow material is all the unconscious stuff, or all the suppressed energies that were aspects of ourselves that we really don't want to be with, or we cannot be with for some reason, right? And it's based in fear that we're not able to embrace all of who we are, right? The fear of not being accepted, or the fear of being out of control, or the fear of feeling ashamed of ourselves, So just like anything that we can't face in our lives, it's really usually a source of disempowerment when we can't face something. And this can be true on an individual level and on a collective level, like I said earlier, And when something is unconscious, we really have no power over it. In the end, what happens is that it sort of like controls us instead of us being in control of it. We have no choice over the matter. And because we're not aware of it, there's no conscious awareness, right? So we can't change the things that we cannot recognize to be true, or the things that are unconscious or in the shadow. We cannot change those things. So when we're able to bring conscious awareness to our shadow energies, we have choice all of a sudden, and we feel empowered. And this is very valuable, and this is very important, and this is why it's so important to work through shadow issues, to take a look at the things we are scared about, to take a look at the things that we don't like and that we push aside, whether that's characteristics, personality traits, or things that we experience in our lives, other people, other cultures, behaviors, anything that we push away is part of our own shadow energy. Now, the full moon, this full moon, with that Cancer Capricorn polarity, is also making a very close grand cross to the moon nodes, which are in Libra and Aries right now. So this is basically sort of like a cross where, there's really, whenever there's a grand cross, there's a shift that needs to happen. And so this, usually this is very energizing time with a grand cross. So it energizes us to break down any long-standing individual patterns that we have. So we're really invited to resolve some core karmic lessons that we're here to resolve. Now, the other thing that's also involved in this grand cross is the Pluto-Uranus square that we've been talking about for a while now. And because that's connected to the grand cross, we also have to recognize that we're engaged in a much larger collective shift at the same time as also our own individual shifts that we're going through. So each one of us is experiencing a shift, but all of that is also impacting a collective shift, right? So this is really a turning point for all of us, because when we have grand crosses like that, especially connected to the moon nodes, which represent our soul's journey and our collective journey as well, that shows us that this turning point is very important for us to take a look at. And I think that this turning point is about redefining the masculine energies, because the South Node is in Aries. And so the South Node is always about redefining something. And Aries is the most masculine of all the signs. So we have to redefine how we use the masculine energies in our lives and how we see masculinity. And masculinity is, in all of us. It's not it's not a thing that only men carry. It's women carry masculine energies too, because it's about taking action. It's about doing things in the outside world. It's about going after something, right? That's a masculine energy. So we're needing to really take a look on a collective level and on an individual level is how we are using our masculine energies, and are we going to continue to dominate this planet and drain its resources? Or are we going to support each other and the planet we live on, co-creating a future that serves all of us? And I think this is, on a collective level, a very important question for each one of us to ask. How are we going to shift that for, on an individual and on a collective level? And are we able to see that we cannot coexist with nature unless we start to listen, unless we start to collaborate, and treat nature and all living beings with respect and love? Because we're all interconnected. We need this planet in order to live. We need the plants on this planet. We need the animals on the planet to survive. We all need each other. And so it's important for us to really notice that and get serious about that and really take responsibility for the part that we have in making that happen. Now, the position of the full moon and the lunar nodes in our own birth charts shows us what areas of life are we needing to develop and where we need to develop different things in our lives. So if you look at your own birth chart, take a look and see where is Aries in your chart. Is in particular around 13 degrees of Aries. Where does that fall in your birth chart? Because that is where you're developing courage and initiative right now. And where is Cancer in your birth chart? Like around 13 degrees of Cancer. That's where you're developing the ability to nurture and to have emotional intelligence. The area where you have 13 degrees of Libra is where you're developing diplomacy and collaborative spirit right now. The area where you have 13 degrees of Capricorn is where you're developing responsibility and integrity right now. So each one of us is experiencing that on an individual level. And if you don't know your birth chart that well and you want to know a little bit where that is taking place for you, you can either feel free to reach out to me for a reading, or you can watch my video on how to read my birth chart, which is here on YouTube, or also if you email info@astrologercoach.com, we will send you a link to that recording with attachments of the class. And just put recording in the subject line and we'll email that to you, right? But the other thing I want to say about this Grand Cross with Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, this is exactly the same cardinal signs and approximately the same degrees of what we experienced in April of 2014. We had a Grand Cross in those signs and those degrees involving Mercury and Uranus in Aries, Jupiter in Cancer, Mars in Libra, and Pluto in Capricorn. So we've experienced this shift already last year of April. So think back to that time for yourself and think, what changes or shifts did you experience back then? What was important back then for you to work through? And what steps maybe do you need to take now with this shift coming, right? So the full moon definitely encourages us to take stock and see how far we've come since last year, since April of 2014. What has changed since then and what still needs to change, right? So a question that you can ask yourself is, what would you like to cultivate now in your own life and in the world at large? How can you make a difference on an individual and on a collective level, right? And it doesn't have to be a huge thing. It can be small things too, we all think that when it comes to changing the world, it has to be this like massive, huge, big deal of like, depolluting the oceans, but, we start, we're getting to goals like that by taking baby steps and by taking little steps. So each person can do little things in their lives so that on the collective level, something bigger can take place, right? So we don't have to necessarily think to the extreme. We can start with, okay, like for me, I want to be able to, create a community of people in where I live, where we can get together and we can talk about issues that concern my community. Like you can start small, or you can even just say, I want to teach something to people that helps people be more aware of what's going on in the world, right? So for each person, it might be a different thing and different things. For some people, it might be something smaller. For other people, it might be something bigger, right? So don't stop yourself just because your thing is not like a huge big deal, right? Or in your own mind, possibly a huge big deal, right? So to sum it all up with this full moon, I would say tapping into our inner courage is very important again. Moving towards collaboration with other people, sharing yourself and connecting and creating win-win situations. To see the interconnections between ourselves and others, and to honor our feelings and needs so we can build something of value and share the fruits of our labor with the world. So really being able to nurture ourselves, take care of ourselves, self-care, right? So that we can really step into the world and make a difference and do something that's valuable. Whether that's on a smaller scale or a larger scale, it doesn't matter. Right? It all still comes back to needing to honor our feelings and needs, to have that foundation. All right? So if you have any personal planets or signs in 12 to 17 degrees of Cancer, Capricorn, Aries, or Libra, then you definitely will feel this full moon much stronger than other people. But again, everyone will have this full moon and these moon nodes in somewhere in the house placements. So again, feel free to either watch my How to Read Your Birth Chart video, or feel free to reach out for a reading. I'll be happy to support you with your birth chart. One last thing I want to mention is that I did offer, I had this huge sale at the end of the year about my Soul-Based Astrology Course recordings. And I have decided to extend the sale until January 15th. Because I was away for a couple of weeks, so I wanted to make sure that everybody gets the chance to really take advantage of that. So I wanted to give you another couple of weeks to really look at that and see if this is something, if you're interested in astrology, if you're interested in knowing more about soul-based astrology, which is what I teach. Maybe you want to take a look at the courses, and they have a really big discount right now. So with each recording, you get a video, there's a whiteboard with drawings and text. There's handouts that come with the email attachment. There are home assignments, and you also get email access with me for questions. So I will do the best I can to always answer your questions with anything that you might need with the videos. If there's anything that takes me longer than 15 minutes to answer via email, I will ask you to book a 25-minute or 50-minute tutoring session with me, and then we'll cover whatever is missing that way. Okay, so that's what's there for you. This is what I offer. So feel free to reach out to info@astrologercoach.com for the video or for questions. If you have personal questions that require of me to pull up a birth chart, then I will always ask you to go to my website and book a reading at AstrologerCoach.com. Okay, so have a fantastic full moon. Remember to find that balance between the inner and the outer, what it is that you need and who you want to be in the outside world, and self-care. Take care of yourself really well. All right, have a good one. This is Astrologer Coach Sonja Francis. Goodbye.